And that's a little bit of the song If You See Me by our guest today and my good friend, Mr. Jim Brace. Welcome, Jim.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me, Mr. Z.
When did you first become really cognizant of music itself?
I remember listening to the radio and really kind of connecting with songs when I was in elementary school. I had a crush on a girl named Kathy, and the Everly Brothers had a song called Kathy's Clown, and that had to be like 57 or something like that, 58 I guess, I don't remember, but it was then, or maybe 60, but it was still early, so I was like 8, 9, 10 maybe. And it was a great, and not just the Everly Brothers, but I listened to a lot of music on the radio, and my parents had a nice stereo at the house, and we used to listen to, actually one of the albums we listened to a lot was Harry Belafonte at Carnegie Hall with the Banana Boat song, and yeah, that was pretty, we always had music in the house.
So, what was your very first instrument, and how about your first band? How did that all go down?
Well, the first instrument was in 4th grade, I think, and it was trombone. And I took that for a couple of years, but I was too young to be in the band. By the time I got into, junior high school or whatever, it was music. It was guitar, and the Beatles had hit, and I was in a band when I was in 8th grade. And played in these record hops where they'd play records and then the band would play a little bit. And it was an early incarnation of a band called The Boys, who went on to have a national hit with a song by the name of Timothy on Scepter Records. But I wasn't in that group, but I was in like the nucleus of that group, and ended up at one point being their roadie for a bit. So that was interesting. But it was, the Boys, and then went on to my own band in 9th grade with the Pirates, and we played dances and parties, and it was fun.
Unlike myself, you got to go to something very, very special when you were a young man. Tell me a little bit about it.
I was there, Woodstock. Graduated from high school in June of '69, 18 years old. Just went up there. Someone came back from there on the Friday night, said we have to go up there. We left. We went there. We were there for 2 days. It was everything you heard about it. It was a lot of people, and there was a very cool vibe. It wasn't, and we didn't even know who was playing. It wasn't like there was like, oh, here's the lineup and we're going to go see XYZ. It was like we just went because it was the thing to do. And it turned out to be a great experience. It rained, it was nasty, it was hot as heck, and we got soaking wet, but there was no violence, it was just very, a great experience. It changed me in a way, saying, okay, this can be, you're always talking about kind of a hippie kind of thing where people could live together, or you could live in peace. It was like a couple of days there where people actually did that, and it sounds trite now maybe, but I came away with that going, okay, this is a very positive experience.
Like many of us who love music, we had other careers that sort of sustained us through it while we played. What was it for you, Jim?
Well, I went to college to ended up wanting originally to be work in advertising. I was a cartoonist when I was a kid, but that got all sidetracked, and ended up being in an education track. Went to student teaching at my last semester, only to discover that I essentially hated teaching. And so I got out of college and was looking for work, and ended up in one of those employment, offices where they, help you find work. And they're talking to a counselor, and he's trying to get me into, the junior executive program at Ford or whatever. And I'm listening to this person in the next cubicle or whatever talking about a place called St. Michael's, and is working with kids, gangs from Philadelphia. Were adjudicated delinquent, and it was in a residential treatment center. And for some reason that appealed to me, and so I asked the counselor, and they set it up, and ended up going for this interview, and during the interview it was with the director, and I go into the director's office, and interestingly enough, his office was, there were like several guitars like setting out there in the office, and one thing led to another, and certainly this is 1974, so I ended up playing guitar and talking about music and how that is a healing force, and I got the job, and it went from there. I mean, opened up a group home for them back in Tunkhannock, Pennsylvania, and worked there for, I guess, almost 10 years, and then moved out west. But working with kids and gangs taught me a lot about what life was really like, because you come out of undergraduate school thinking you're going to save the world, and yeah, these kids gave me a great education. But I wasn't that active in music then. I mostly was a fan, going, seeing bands and listening and taking it in. So it was a good, and then went out to Wyoming, again, went and got my degree. All the while during there, though, I started playing more and more with pickup groups, and like at this one place, Pete's Rock and Rye, and pickup groups, and people would like just jams and stuff, and it got me back into that.
I'd like to thank Jim for being here today, and thank you for joining us on Human Darts Inciter. We'll go out today with a little more of Jim's music. See you next time.